A boy dead on a country road. A dynasty that made it disappear. 3 in the morning. Bamberg County, South Carolina, July 8th, 2015. A truck driver's headlights catch something in the middle of Sandy Run Road. Something wearing sneakers. Something that used to be a 19-year-old boy. His name was Stephen Smith, pre-nursing student, openly gay in a county that didn't forgive it. Classmate of a boy named Buster Murdaugh. The cops called it a hit and run. No skid marks, no broken glass, no debris. Nothing on the road, except the body. His car sat 3 miles away, out of gas, keys still in it, like he'd been walking, or running, or placed. For 7 years, the file gathered dust. Case closed that was never really open. Mother screaming into a void that wore a 3-piece suit. Then, a boat crashed. A housekeeper died. A wife and son got shot on a kennel lawn. And every ghost in the Lowcountry started moving at once. This is the story of the boy who knew too much, and the family that owned the law. Act 1. The Stain. A body on the asphalt and a crime scene that forgot to exist. 4:35 a.m. Highway patrol rolls up. Stephen Smith is lying on his back, head pointed south, sneakers still laced, phone still in his pocket, wallet untouched. The trauma is on his skull. Massive, catastrophic, a crater where his right temple used to be. But here's the thing. The rest of him is clean. No road rash, no broken legs, no shredded clothing. His shoes are still on his feet. Ever seen a pedestrian hit at highway speed? The body tumbles, the shoes fly off, the denim shreds. Physics doesn't negotiate. Stephen's body negotiated. His hands were soft. No defensive scrapes, no palm abrasions, like he'd never tried to brace. The trooper on scene wrote it up in 38 minutes. Hit and run, fatal, pedestrian struck by unknown vehicle. Case transferred to highway patrol. Not homicide, not sled, not the coroner's suspicion file. Just traffic. No tire tracks, no paint transfer, no headlight plastic, no side mirror. Nothing a car leaves when a car kills. The medical examiner opened him up. Linear laceration to the right temple. Blunt force. Consistent, she wrote, with something. A vehicle's mirror, maybe. Or a weapon. Or a rifle butt swung by a friend's hand. She called it blunt force trauma. She did not rule out homicide. Nobody listened. Because by 6 a.m., someone had already made a phone call. The kind of call that moves the air in small southern towns. The kind that reroutes investigations before the sun comes up. The Murdaugh name was in the scene notes within hours. Not as suspects, as a lead, a rumor, a whisper from Stephen's classmates at Wade Hampton High. Buster Murdaugh, Randy Murdaugh, the Sons, the Dynasty. Troopers wrote it down. Troopers shelved it. Because in that 14th Judicial Circuit, Alec Murdaugh was the solicitor. His father before him, his grandfather before that. 3 generations, 87 years of deciding who got prosecuted and who never did. They didn't need to threaten anyone. They just needed to exist. Stephen's mother, Sandy, got the knock before dawn. A trooper she didn't know. A sentence that didn't fit. Her boy. The road. An accident. She drove out there before they'd even cleared the scene. Saw the asphalt, saw the blood pool, saw what wasn't there. No glass, no skid, no car. She asked the trooper one question. Where's the vehicle that hit him? He couldn't answer. Nobody could. Nobody would. For 7 years, Sandy Smith stood on that empty road at sunrise, a dead sun behind her, a silent county in front of her. And she made herself a promise. She was going to drag this case out of the dirt, even if the dirt had teeth. Act 2. The Shadows. 7 years of closed doors and a dynasty humming through every wire. The Highway Patrol investigation lasted 14 months, on paper. In practice, it was a ghost. Troopers interviewed a handful of classmates, got the Murdaugh name again and again and again. Buster Murdaugh, the whispered answer, every time. Students told investigators Stephen and Buster had known each other. Rumors about a relationship, rumors about jealousy, rumors about a night that ended on Sandy Run Road. Investigators wrote it down, never followed up. One trooper, Todd Proctor, actually pushed. He went to his supervisor, said, "This isn't a hit and run." Said, "The body tells a different story."
Said, "We have named suspects and we're not even knocking on doors." His supervisor told him to stay in his lane. The file went to a drawer. The drawer went to a warehouse. The warehouse was in a county where the solicitor's last name ran on the courthouse letterhead. They didn't solve it because they were never looking. Sandy Smith kept calling, every month, every week. The phone rang in empty offices. Officers retired, new ones inherited the shrug. She hired a private investigator. He got threats. He got followed. He got off the case. She tried the media. Nothing stuck. Nothing until a boat. February 2019, Paul Murdaugh, Alex's youngest son, drunk, crashes a boat on Archer's Creek. A 19-year-old girl named Mallory Beach is thrown into the black water. Her body isn't found for a week. The boat crash cracked something. Reporters started sniffing. A journalist named Mandy Matney started pulling threads, and one of the threads was a 7-year-old traffic file with a boy's name on it and a family name whispered in the margins. The hit and run that killed Stephen Smith had never been a hit and run. The Highway Patrol had known since 2015 and buried it because the name attached to the rumor owned the courthouse where any trial would have to be held. June 7th, 2021. 2 more bodies. Maggie Murdaugh, Paul Murdaugh, shot dead at the family hunting lodge, Moselle. Alec Murdaugh standing over them, calling 911, playing the grieving father. It all started to come loose. The empire cracked. Alex stole millions from clients, faked his own murder for insurance, got caught, got arrested, got indicted for the killings of his own wife and son. And inside that avalanche, SLED, the state's law enforcement division, quietly reopened one old file. Case number 2015-something. Stephen Smith, Bamberg County. Previously classified as vehicular. Now reclassified. Homicide. June 2021. 6 years after a boy died on an empty road, the state finally said the word out loud. Murder. Sandy Smith cried in a parking lot when the call came. Not because it was over, because it was finally beginning. But reopening a case is not solving one, and the people who knew what happened on Sandy Run Road had spent 6 years rehearsing the silence.
Act 3. The Deviant. Whispers of a teenage circle, a jealous rage, and a cover-up in the bloodline. So who killed Stephen Smith? The official answer, even now, is nobody. No arrests, no charges, no named suspect on any indictment. The case is open. The case is also frozen. But the unofficial answer, the one SLED has been circling for years, sits in the Murdaugh orbit. Not Alex, not Maggie. The sons and their friends. Stephen and Buster Murdaugh were in the same graduating class, Wade Hampton High, 2014. Small school, small town. Everyone knew everyone's business, or thought they did. Stephen was out, openly gay, in a county that still used slurs at the gas station. He was bullied. He was harassed. He was, according to his twin sister Stephanie, afraid. Multiple classmates, interviewed years later by SLED and by journalists, told the same story. There were rumors that Stephen had been involved with a boy inside the Murdaugh circle, that the relationship was secret, that it was denied, that it was violent when confronted. One witness said there was a party the night before Stephen died, a gathering where Stephen's name came up, where someone said they were going to handle him. Another witness said they saw a truck that night, a distinctive pickup, registered to a friend of the Murdaugh sons, near the stretch of road where Stephen's body was found. A rifle butt, a tire iron, something swung hard at close range, something consistent with the temple wound Stephen had, something a moving car doesn't do. The theory that SLED has reportedly developed, Stephen was not struck by a vehicle. Stephen was attacked, beaten, killed at roadside or near it, then staged. His own car, 3 miles away, out of gas, was moved there, deliberately, to suggest he'd been walking, to suggest he was a pedestrian hit on a dark road. The staging was amateur. The cover-up was professional. Because here's what the investigation has slowly surfaced. Within hours of the body's discovery, a Murdaugh associate, a trooper, a cousin, a friend, was on scene. Allegedly. Witnesses place a man in plain clothes examining the body before it was removed, asking questions, steering conclusions.
The fingerprint of the family. Not on the weapon, on the paperwork. Randolph Murdaugh III, Alex's father, the patriarch, the solicitor emeritus, was still alive then, still breathing fire into the 14th Circuit. A call from him could move a trooper's career, or end it. Nobody has ever proven Randolph made that call. Nobody has ever proven he didn't. Investigators pulling Buster Murdaugh's phone records from July 2015 reportedly found gaps, unaccounted hours, locations that don't match his stated alibi. Buster has denied, publicly and repeatedly, any involvement in Stephen's death. He has not been charged. He has not been arrested. But his name is on every page of the reopened file. And the file is still open. 6 months after SLED reclassified the case, they received an anonymous tip, a specific tip, naming names, describing the weapon. The walls were starting to close. The question was whether they'd close hard enough to catch anyone at all. Act 4. The Trap. Alex Murdaugh in cuffs and a Pandora's box of dynastic sin. March 2nd, 2023, Walterboro, South Carolina. A jury finds Alex Murdaugh guilty. 2 counts of murder, his wife, his son. Life in prison, no parole. The dynasty falls! But it doesn't fall clean. It falls and takes every dirty secret down the stairs with it. Because once Alex was locked up, the wall of silence cracked everywhere. Clients who'd been robbed started talking. Cops who'd been leaned on started talking. Neighbors, witnesses, colleagues. And buried in the depositions, buried in the FBI subpoenas, buried in the federal wire fraud indictments, the name Stephen Smith kept surfacing. A 2021 tip to SLED had come from a source inside the Murdaugh financial investigation. The source said, "Look at Stephen Smith. Look at what Alex paid to make that go away. Look at the phone records. Look at the insurance." Because Alex Murdaugh had reportedly told his own clients, over whiskey, over years, that he had taken care of a situation for Buster, a bad one, a dead one. Claims he made while committing other felonies. Claims he denied under oath. Claims that mean nothing in court. Claims that mean everything in a reopened file. SLED pulled cell tower data. 7 years late. Some of it was gone. Some of it wasn't. Towers in Bamberg County, the night of July 7th into July 8th, 2015. Pings. Movement. Vehicles on Sandy Run Road that the official report never mentioned. The original report had listed no witnesses. SLED, reinvestigating, found 11. 11 people, over 7 years, who'd seen something, said something, been ignored. One of them was a woman who lived a half-mile from the scene. She'd heard yelling that night, around 3 a.m., male voices, multiple, then a thud, then silence. She'd called the sheriff's non-emergency line. The call was logged, then lost. Another witness was a gas station clerk. He remembered Stephen coming in, alone, buying a drink, around 12:30 a.m. He also remembered 2 young men in a truck, parked outside, watching Stephen leave. That clerk had tried to come forward in 2015. The trooper who took his statement never filed it. By 2023, the evidence wasn't a smoking gun. It was a cloud of smoke where a gun used to be. SLED exhumed Stephen's body. April 2021. For a second autopsy. Private pathologists, independent. The new report reportedly confirmed what the first one had hinted. The wound was not consistent with a vehicle strike. It was a direct, blunt force impact, human delivered. The pathologists used a phrase that ended the hit-and-run theory forever. Injury inconsistent with ambulatory pedestrian struck by motor vehicle. Translation: a car didn't do this. A person did. The Justice Department started circling. The FBI opened a civil rights inquiry. Had Stephen been killed for being gay? Was this a hate crime buried by a corrupt solicitor? As of today, nobody has been indicted for Stephen's death. The grand jury sits. The file grows. The witnesses keep showing up now that the Murdaughs can't shut them up. Mask off. Slowly. One thread at a time. The dynasty is down. The killer is still walking. Act 5. The Void. A mother's war, a broken system, and the question that won't die. Sandy Smith is still here. Still calling. Still pushing. Still waking up every morning in a house with a missing boy in it. Stephen's bedroom, the same. His nursing textbooks, the same.
His sneakers by the door, the same pair that wasn't flung off his feet on the asphalt where he died. She raised $80,000 through GoFundMe. Strangers who'd never met her son. She used it to exhume him. She used it to pay forensic experts the state should have paid for in 2015. She had to dig her son up to get anyone to take his death seriously. Think about that. In a functioning system, that sentence is impossible. In South Carolina in 2021, it was a Tuesday. The Highway Patrol never apologized. The officers who mishandled the original case were never disciplined. Some of them got promoted. The 14th Judicial Circuit, Alec Murdaugh's old kingdom, has been restructured. New solicitor, new staff, new protocols. None of it brings back a 19-year-old nursing student. None of it answers the question Sandy asks every single day. Who swung the thing that cracked her son's skull? And maybe, we'll never get a name in a courtroom. Maybe the witnesses are too old now. Maybe the evidence is too degraded. Maybe the Murdaugh machine did its job well enough that no jury will ever convict. That's the horror. Not that evil exists. We all knew that. The horror is that evil, when it wears the right last name, just doesn't have to answer. Stephen's twin sister, Stephanie, spoke at a press conference in 2023. Said her brother was the kind of kid who'd tutor strangers for free, who'd volunteer at the hospital because he wanted to help people, who was going to be a nurse, who was going to save lives. Somebody took that from him. Somebody drove him home, or walked him to a ditch, or swung a rifle butt at his temple, and then went back to their truck and drove to breakfast. Somebody slept fine that night, and the next night, and every night for nearly a decade. The Murdaugh empire collapsed in slow motion. Paul is dead. Maggie is dead. Alec is in a concrete box. Randolph is in the ground. And Buster, the name that started every rumor, is free, living, denying. The case is open. The file grows. Sandy keeps calling. Because that's what mothers do. Long after the systems built to protect their children have gone home for the night. Epilogue. A dynasty in ruins. A killer still breathing. A mother still digging. Stephen Smith was 19 years old. He wanted to be a nurse. He wanted to leave Hampton County and see the world. He wanted to live out loud in a place that demanded he live quiet. He got 3 miles of empty road and a wound nobody officially caused. The Murdaugh name used to mean justice in the Low Country. For 100 years, 3 generations of solicitors, the name on the door, the name on the bench, the name on every indictment that came down and every one that didn't. Now it means this: a boat at the bottom of a creek, a wife in a grave, a son beside her, a patriarch in a cell, and a boy, not theirs, but destroyed by theirs, still waiting on a headstone that tells the truth. A boat at the bottom of a creek, a wife in a grave, a son beside her, a patriarch in a cell. They owned the law. They did not own the story. The story outlived them. The story is still being written. Sandy Smith will keep writing it until somebody answers, or until she can't write anymore. Stephen was alive at midnight. By dawn, he was a file. 9 years later, he's still a file. That's not justice. That's just what silence sounds like when the rich go to sleep.